You want to beat you off? All right, I'll beat you off. I'll beat you off. I'll beat you off anybody. No matter what I do, I always look like a fool. Cause I'm just dude who loves movies. Damn it, damn it, dude who loves movies. What's up, dudes and dudettes? My name's Cody, and I'm just a dude who loves movies. And tonight I want to talk to you guys about Barbie. Barbie was directed by Greta Gerwig and starring Margot Robbie as typical Barbie and Ryan Gosling as typical Ken. In this movie, everything is great for Barbie in her Barbie land, but one day she wakes up and things are a little off. Like her feet are flat, her breath sinks, she's tired, her shower is cold. So she has to find out why this is happening. So she's sent on a journey to the real world to find out why this is happening to her and how she can change it. So I'm a grown man in my 30s, and this movie wasn't made for me, and I knew that going in. I knew that I was not the target audience. But with that said, I actually really did enjoy this movie. I thought it was very funny, very clever. It was a satire. It's mostly a satire, and I think that's overlooked a lot. People are taking this movie way too serious. So there were a lot of things that went over my head because I never played with Barbies and I didn't know the history of Barbies. My sister played with Barbies as a kid, so I kind of knew some things from like what she had. I remember that I did get a Ken once for like my birthday. I remember my mom got me this like shaving Ken. Like he had like a 5 o'clock shadow, and if you put like shaving cream on him or like warm water, you could shave his face. I didn't really play with him much because he was much taller than the rest of my toys, which were action figures. So Ken didn't get a lot of playtime with the dude. But like towards the end, during the end credits and stuff, they show like all these different discontinued Barbies, and all these Barbies were like making cameos in the movie. I didn't really know, like Alan. I didn't really know that he was a real Barbie until they showed him at the end. So it's like, oh, okay, blah blah. But my sister who saw it, she really enjoyed it because she played with all those toys. She knew all those toys. Now the acting was great by everyone involved. Like Michael Cera as Alan, he was a gem. Margot Robbie as Barbie was not like that was perfect casting. She was a perfect person to play Barbie. And Ken. So when they announced that Ryan Gosling was going to be playing Ken, I was like, oh really? And then they showed him with the bleach blonde hair and what he looked like, and I was like, okay, well that doesn't really look like Ken because I grew up knowing Ken with like brown hair and whatnot. But apparently, I think Ken had bleach blonde hair when he first hit the scene, so that made sense. But when you see Ryan Gosling as Ken, like he fits it and he makes it his own. He is hilarious. I thought he was the best part of the movie. Also, Kate McKinnon is great in the movie. She plays like the weird Barbie, the Barbie who's been played with too hard or too much. She's really funny. She kind of remind me of like the Cynthia doll from Rugrats that Angelica had. And honestly, Will Ferrell, he was not the funniest part of this movie, and I kind of thought he was going to be. He's kind of forgettable. I kept forgetting that he was in the movie, and even after the movie, I was like, oh yeah, Will Ferrell was in that. He does have some good lines. Will Ferrell is set up to be like the villain. He's like the head of Mattel, which I also like that Mattel was able to poke fun of themselves. But to me, I felt like Ken was more of a villain and he should have been spotlighted as a villain. Even though he really wasn't a villain, he was just taking what he learned from the real world and taking it to like 100. So, and when you have somebody who's naive like that, who's never been in a situation like that, and has been treated the way he was, he gets you give him an inch and he was taking a mile. He was like, wow, this is great. I want to become a man and rule the world. And that's another thing. There's so many people out there that thinks this movie's male bashing, and I really don't think it is. It makes fun of everybody, and yeah, there may be more jokes, poking fun of men, but it's a Barbie movie. It's a movie for women, so why wouldn't there be? Like, I was expecting that going in, and people are just shocked that, oh my gosh, they're making fun of men. Ooh. But me, I'm a huge fan of like 90s and 80s movies, and those movies really didn't shed a great light or put women in a great light. So, give them Barbie. Why can't they have Barbie? I also think people aren't used to female empowerment yet. So when they see things like this, it's automatically woke. People use the word woke way too often and just to describe something they don't like. I feel like the meaning of woke has kind of slipped away or has been very muddied. Everything's woke now. just because they changed the race of Ariel in the new Little Mermaid. That's woke. Two girls being possessed in the new Exorcist movie. Woke. Yep, new pineapple Pepsi. You guessed it. But seriously, guys, this woke bullshit is pissing me the fuck off. I honestly think the average man is probably going to like this as long as you are comfortable with your sexuality and you are able to make fun of yourself. I think as a male, you're going to enjoy this. I enjoyed it. I know other men that have enjoyed this quite a bit. But there are people who aren't liking it. And the thing that's bothering me the most is I've had more than a few people reach out to me before I even saw the movie, and they were telling me not to see the movie. Though, don't see Barbie. It is awful, god awful, man bashing this, man bashing that. I was like, oh wow, okay, I didn't know you saw it. And they're like, oh no, I didn't. I just heard from this person. It's like, guys, go see the movie yourself and then form your opinion. If you don't like it, then that's okay. Oh my goodness, I didn't know what to say with these people coming to me with this. I was just like, okay. My favorite scene is Ken singing the I Am Ken song. I love that song. And I also loved when he was singing Matchbox 20. I was dying laughing in the theater. Everybody was laughing in the theater, having a good time. It was a great experience. Another great scene in the movie is when Barbie has had just a really rough day. She's had it up to here. Nobody's treating her well. And this is her in the real world. She sits down on a bus bench next to this elderly lady. She looks at this elderly lady and gives her a smile and tells her, "You're so beautiful." And then the elderly lady replies with, "I know." And Margot Robbie sheds like a little tear. And there was just, in that moment, it was like, I thought it was really sweet and I really enjoyed that. And I know I'm probably not giving it justice explaining it. I actually think that Ken has a really cool arc in this movie. Like a lot of people are saying that he's very stupid and they're making men look stupid, but they're just naive. They're in this land where they're not used to, doing their own thing because they're always chasing after Barbie. And honestly, growing up, I knew a lot of guys who were like that. They would be like, they'd have their girlfriend and they would never leave their girlfriend's side. And then once they broke up, they'd be lost. They'd be walking around like they were John Travolta from Pulp Fiction. But anyways, I digress. I think Ken has a really cool arc. He goes to the real world. He sees men doing men things and, doing what they want. And he takes that to Barbie land and teaches the other Kens this. And he's like, oh, yes, we can be our own person, this and that. And, towards like the end, he's like, it's always me. It's always Barbie and Ken. Like I said earlier, it's always Barbie and Ken. And he finds out that he can live his own life and do his own things. He doesn't need to be attached to Barbie. And I think that was a really cool arc for him. And same with Barbie. She realized she doesn't have to be Barbie. She doesn't have to live the norm. She goes off and lives a normal life in the normal world. And another thing that might be a little confusing to people is the age group that this is kind of targeted for. And it's not really kind of known, I guess. It's PG-13, so you got to go in mind that. So if you're a parent, I'm sure you're going to do your job and look into the movie before you take your kid there. I think that's parent 101 when it comes to movies. Don't just see a poster that says Barbie and take your kid to it. But with that said, when I went to the movie, it was packed with all people, all races, all ages, and everybody seemed to be having a great time. And then I think about it, yeah, there was probably a lot of adult jokes that the kids didn't get, but there are a lot of kids jokes in it. But then, like, when I was a kid, I watched a lot of kids movies that weren't really kids movies, like The Addams Family. Those were family movies, but they had bunches of adult jokes in there. Same with like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, that had a bunch of adult jokes in it, but I still got it. I still enjoyed it. There were a lot of things I shouldn't have been watching when I was 5 years old or 8 years old, but I still got it and I still enjoyed it. I may have not understood it completely, but now I understand it. But it didn't mess me up or anything. So I think if you have a kid and you want to take them to go see Barbie, go ahead and take them to Barbie. It's PG-13, so it's up to you as the parent to decide. No matter what you say or think about Barbie, this movie is bringing people together. When this movie came out, like, you could go to a normal theater and you would see normal moviegoers all dressed in pink, moms, dads, brothers, sisters, everybody dressed in pink going to go see Barbie, and people just enjoying it, having a good time. So if anything, this movie is bringing people, families, friends, everyone together just to have a good time at the movies. And any way you look at it, that's a win for the moviegoer. That's a win for the theater, and it's really special to see that. And it just sucks that there's just so many people just trying to trash the movie and things like that. But I am glad that the majority of people seem to be enjoying this. If you don't enjoy it, that is completely fine. Just understand the movie isn't for everybody. Some people are going to love it, some people are not going to like it. So if you're a 40-year-old man, you watch the trailer and you're like, oh, that looks like shit. Well, then don't go see it because you're probably not going to like it. But if you see the trailer and it looks good or interesting or funny to you, then go check it out, form your own opinion, and have fun. If you don't like it, then you don't like it. The dude approves. So guys, don't forget to roundhouse kick that like button, subscribe, and comment below. Did you see Barbie? Did you like it? Did you not like it? But just please be respectful. It's okay to have your own opinion, but don't tear people down for having their own opinion. Let's all get along and have a great night. Cheers, who's respecting. And remember, you're Knuff.